Good afternoon. Welcome to St. Croix Christian Center's second segment of Charlotte County's Historical Moments. My name is Darren McCabe, and today we're going to be giving you a brief history of the island we know as St. Croix. For thousands of years, the St. Croix River, being part of the Passamaquoddy region, is the ancient and ancestral lands of the indigenous people of the Passamaquoddy. St. Croix Island was used by the indigenous people as a resting point and a storage area. In 1604, the island became part of the struggle for the supremacy and dominance of North America between the two superpowers at that time, being France and England. In order to establish yourself as a superpower, you have to create settlement. And that's what the French and English, that was the undertaking of the French and English. And the French had heard through the history that there was some type of a copper mine here, and where they could get rich, because they were also entrepreneurs too. Samuel de Champlain and Sieur de Mont, they traveled with 79 people. And they came up into the Passamaquoddy Bay looking for a place to create a settlement. And they saw us. It was the summertime, and beautiful. The weather was beautiful, as it always is here. And they saw the island, and they decided that the island was a great place to actually settle, because it was easily defendable, and it seemed like a good location. In 1604, they landed. They offloaded the 79 people on board, who were tradespeople, military personnel, and both Protestant and Catholics on board the ship. It went really well. The ships left in August, because they were contract ships. They left in August to go back to France, because they had to resupply as well. And when they dropped them off with food supplies. They dropped them off with cider, wine, and building materials. And they began to actually create a settlement very quickly, building small or modest housing structures, as well as community structures, small churches, and they even had put on a small community rec hall. Very modest, of course, but they created that, and they built that rather quickly. They weren't prepared for the winter of 1604, 1605. They began to become ill, and the leader, Samuel de Champlain, didn't exactly know what was happening with them, but they were all becoming ill. They were becoming so weak they couldn't even move. They couldn't move around the island, so it even made it worse. They were starting to lose tissue. They were basically rotting away. So over the course of the winter, out of the 79 that arrived on that island, 35 of them had perished from the winter elements, and they were buried over in the island, and they are still buried over there to this day. They were supposed to be picked up in April of 1605, but the spring boat didn't arrive until June, and it was upon when the spring boat arrived, those that were left, they tore down their buildings. And except for the main recreation hall, which they left, those that survived, they took everything and put it on board the ships, and they left St. Croix Island to move to what they feel were better areas of better climate, and that was in Nova Scotia, an area they call Port Royal, or we call it Port Royal, and that was the very first permanent settlement for the French. Was actually in Port Royal, Nova Scotia, and it was permanent from there on. That was the end of the history of St. Croix Island. The history of the island from that point on became very unknown. However, in 1949, the island became a National Historic Site under the authority of the U.S. National Park Service, and it is also recognized as a National Historic Site in Canada. In 1968, the U.S. National Park Service carried out an archaeological excavation where the remains of the first settlers were found and studied. So thank you for watching this episode of on St. Croix Island. We appreciate you tuning in, and please stay tuned for future episodes of Charlotte County Heritage Moments.